What did you think you were really good at until you watched someone else do it? When I interviewed for my current job at an aerospace firm, the 3 interviewers asked me to work at a whiteboard while describing my research. My research involved laser physics, and while starting to draw I tried to gauge their knowledge level, and being kinda nervous I asked, "Do you guys know lasers?" They just looked at me and said yeah, so I kept going. Unbeknownst to me, one of them was a laser physics PhD with 20 years of high energy laser experience. One of them was chief space systems architect at the company that specialized in ground to space laser communication systems, and the other was a space systems department head. Months later, I was working on a project for the laser communications guy, who was basically giving me a crash course on atmospheric optics. And I started laughing because I remembered the time I asked him, "Do you know lasers?" That's a great story. Making balloon animals. I thought I was good at it, making flamingos, eagles, beavers, giraffes, etc. until a pro made a giant squid out of multiple balloons that he called his kraken. I can make a bad butt snake, worm, and cucumber. I was the best boggle player in my universe as a child. I'd take on whole rooms of people as a party trick. That is, everyone else versus me. Then the internet existed, and boggle style games popped up online, and I found out I was only the 783rd best boggle player in the world on that website at that moment. You weren't as good as you thought you were. Peggy Hill. Ping pong. I've never lost to anyone I've ever met or any of my friends. Until one day I went to a ping pong club that met at a high school gym. The guy that managed the club was ex-Olympics and I couldn't score a single point on the worst player there. I used to think I was pretty good at chess. Whenever I asked my friends to play after school I would always beat them. Then I actually joined in a chess club and never won a game again. My brother was pretty good at playing chess. Then he went to jail. Now he's the freaking grand champion wizard of chess and he doesn't even try. Chinese. I was easily the best in my high school and survived just fine on my own in Taiwan. Then I started majoring in it and can't seem to get past a vocabulary of 1,500 words without forgetting others. Meanwhile some of my classmates just see a word and know it for life. If you're going for large vocabulary, you should try something like Anki to help you remember. It's much better than rote memorization, but you have to keep up with it 10-30 minutes a day. Fencing. I would show up to open competitions and cruise through everyone. Started going to actual sanctioned events and was absolutely destroyed. I loved it though. When you get eliminated in the first round of eliminations for long enough, you really appreciate the small bits of progress you make. Like getting to the second round. Oh man, I remember my first time at nationals. My whole pool except for one dude destroyed my butt. It was a real wake up call. It also taught me your rating doesn't mean crap. Painting. Fine art painting. Oils. Acrylics. Watercolors. Then my first child got accepted into art school and she can art circles around me now. I'm so proud I can't even be discouraged. Sports in general. I play ice hockey and sometimes I think I'm pretty good. Then a college player or two show up and just knock my confidence levels way down. Drawing. Everyone in my class told me I was good, but then I looked at other people draw online and I realized how crappy my drawing were. Life of every artist ever. Smash Brothers Melee and the pre-internet. Pre-online Smash I should say. Days. I'm pretty good at the game for the normal person and could easily beat all my friends as Samus without trying. I talked myself up so much and was all, oh man I'm so good at this game. Until a buddy of mine ended up meeting through another friend a ranked Smash player. Not even a high ranked player. Just some guy who was kinda sorta good. Yay, well holy crap. He beat me down without breaking a sweat. It wasn't even a close match at all. None of the matches we played were. It was that day I learned there are 2 levels of experience for fighting games. Normal, casual and pro. Gaming. Drawing and a ton of other stuff actually. This was mostly during my years in elementary school, since I actually was great at a lot of things compared to my friends. I can't say I wasn't a bit arrogant. College shut me down though. I used to think that I could lift things on my back all day every day. I could carry furnitures like bookshelves, drawers, and single couches regardless how heavy they were. I walked while carrying them on my back as long as I needed to, until I went to the gym and see all these ripped people weightlifting the dumbbells that I reckon were 5 times the weight of the stuff I was carrying. I then had a hernia repair due to piggybacking an ex-girlfriend too many times. Shocking thing. In your defense, exes carry a lot of baggage with them. Running. When I was in middle school I ran a half marathon and I thought that made me a good runner. I also did track and cross country and I was always near the top. But when I reached high school, I realized I'm not that good at running and was average. SNES Mario Kart. I thought I was an unstoppable freaking machine. That was basically the game. I played it daily for years. Got to college. So had everyone else. Tekken. I thought I was pretty good with a few of the characters. This is, until I met this one dude who says he plays. So I envied him over, and what does he bring? But an arcade style controller. That's when I knew I was fricked. I never won a single match against him. Me with Street Fighter. Kicked my friends' asses, my sister's butt, the computer's butt, hopped online, demolished. Speedrunning. Except back when I was a teen I didn't know that was what it was called and YouTube hadn't been invented yet. I just tried to fly through the stages in games like Mario World as fast as I could without dying, impressing my younger cousins. And then someone posted that famous 11 meters TAS of Mario Bros 3. Back at that point, 99% of people didn't know that it was entirely pre-programmed. All we knew was this guy in Japan was wrecking SMB3 and using the unskippable battle fleet stages as springboard practice, maxing out his life count. It was then I knew there's always someone better than you at something, and I've been fascinated with speedrunning ever since. Challenge. Complete The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past in under 5 minutes. Jitsu. I trained at an MMA gym and did pretty well even with the best guys. I switched to a Jitsu specific gym and now I am absolute trash. It's been impressed upon me that you never ever stop learning in BJJ. Black belts are just white belts who didn't quit, and all that. I experienced a bit of that over the weekend when my instructor was surprised at how I defended a counter. He had me show him how I did it and gave me a fist bump for showing him something new. Rode that high for a few days. Photography. As an amateur, I would never compare myself to a pro. I do decent pictures. I have a good eye for detail, etc. One of my friend bought himself a camera. Same style as mine. Reflex. No previous photography experience with that kind of camera. My god. The pictures he does are pure, perfect, full of emotions and just aesthetically amazing, without any need of filtering or Photoshop. I was a decent Midwest snowboarder in the late 90s. Not great mind you, but pretty good by my local mountain standards. Moved out west and the first week I went riding with a guy from Mac. We built a booter in the backcountry. I hit it and did some lame trick. He climbed up way higher than me, straight climbed it and busted a gnarly backside rodeo. First time off the kicker, stomped the landing. I knew right there that I was not a good snowboarder. TBF. You grew up without mountains. School in general. Little fish big pond syndrome is totally real. As you get older you just realize how much smarter the really smart people of the world are than you. Heck, I'm in med school right now, and some of these people are just freaking genius. That exam you studied all week for and barely passed, a third of the class just knows it all somehow. The biggest tip I can give anyone for their education is to find the smart kids, study with them, and watch and learn. In my 3rd and 4th years, I realized how important it is to study on time. A week's worth of study just before an exam. I was able to pass just barely. I started studying at the end of each day, and repeat some of the studies in the weekend, and answers came naturally. Also, learn how to take notes. Makes a huge difference. Minecraft. Play it a lot still and keep playing, and I'm fine knowing I can't build as crazy as some people or build nutty farms like others. I just do my best and have a good time. Advice from my granddaddy. No matter what you do, someone will always be better than you. But nobody will ever be better than you at all the things you do. You gotta change your perspective a little. You're the best version of you that ever existed. Your granddaddy sounds like a wise man, and this advice makes me miss mine. Swimming. I can swim okay, and for a long time. I've swam up to 10 kilometers. I'd watched the Olympics and thought I knew something. I swam a lot as a kid and could hold my breath for a long time underwater. When I met up with my now wife for the first time, I saw her swim and I cried. Honestly, even thinking about it now I cry. I can call up that memory and know that I'll never be as good at anything as she is at swimming. I had no idea it was possible to do anything that beautifully, that competently, or that efficiently. This, 30 years after winning an Olympic bronze medal in swimming, a gold in the Commonwealth Games and a silver in the Pan Am Games. More than this, she'd competitively swam from the age of 6 until age 21, and that's 15 years, during her most formative times, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever see anything as beautiful as that again. Decades after even working out at all, her arms, square shoulders, and back remain ripped, all the time. I honestly wish there was some way to communicate this kind of thing, as what I'm writing here seems inadequate to say it fully. I really want to watch your wife swim now. I never even thought swimming could be beautiful. Being a leader. Spent 5 years in the Marine Corps, where leadership is instilled in everyone, from the lowliest privates to the commandant of the Marine Corps. Leadership is stressed and honed. Got out and got a job where I thought I could lead people. They made me a freaking supervisor of multiple programs and a bunch of people. Turns out I kind of suck at it. But effective leadership is something that has to be cultivated, practiced, refined, and reshaped as the needs dictate. I've been given a leadership position now and find it continuously challenging. Luckily, I've had plenty of good leaders to show me what to do in the past. When I was a kid, I was really good at playing Guitar Hero. Then one day I got cocky and tried to challenge my uncle, who is also very good at Guitar Hero, and he destroyed my 12-year-old ego. Cooking. When I was young I thought I was a really good cook up until I moved in with my girlfriend. The last couple years I lived at home, my brother and I handled a large amount of the cooking as my mom is not much of a cook and my dad, while talented, was often too creative for his own good. Once I was living with my girlfriend though, suddenly all these words I didn't even know were getting tossed around like they were the most basic concepts. Julienne, ruse, reductions, etc. If I was getting something started for her, the instructions I would get would be something like, well, just get a basic bechamel going and throw some water on the stove. Sure, let me just make a bechamel sauce from memory. I was very quickly demoted to prep work like chopping vegetables if I'm allowed to help at all. The worst part is I am an above average cook. She's just in a whole different league. She's able to easily improvise complex dishes based on what we have on hand. She doesn't bat an eye at making something like duck confit, or spinach and garlic risotto with scallops for dinner. She could probably hack it as a private chef for a wealthy family or something. Her food is frequently better than what we get at well-reviewed restaurants. Wrapping cables. Basically, the way you've been doing it your whole life is wrong and damaging to the wires inside. Freshman year of film school you're taught the real way, which makes them not only last longer but also easier to unravel. We spent like half an hour doing it and I was like, yeah, I'm really getting the hang of this. Then the professor was like, no you're not. I still can't do it correctly. When I was young I thought I was amazing at video games, mostly cause I was always schooling my friends. Turns out my friends were just awful, and I was a little better than awful. I also thought I was great at math cause in high school it was my easiest as. Then in college math somehow became an alien language to me. Fighting I thought I would be ready for a street fight with martial arts training. You know, people become animals and all the training goes out the windows, there's no tapping out. A friend of mine told me if you are ever in a serious fight, get a hold of the other guy's ear and rip it off. Nobody wants to fight after their ear has been ripped off. It doesn't matter how good you are at something, there will always be some 6-year-old kid that's 10 times better than you, and that's just a fact of life. I am an expert at chugging whiskey though. Rocket League. After getting the game I thought I was pretty good at it. I was winning game after game and pulling off some cool moves. Then I joined our Rocket League and started seeing clips from actual good players and realized that I had a long way to go. I'm Diamond 3 with 1k hours. There's only one full tier above me before Grand Champ. They are so much better that I don't even think that I could beat them given another 1k hours. Pretty much anything I think I'm good at. But then I remember that someone is looking at my thinking the same thing. One example, I am trying to be a more physically active parent, which means stroller walks. I set my goal as 100 miles this year. I was feeling super happy about it and about my progress. I'm at 42 miles, but then my friend with a 12-week-old told me she walks 2 miles daily, just casually mentioned, and another friend with an older than mine baby set a goal for 100 miles in April. I am still getting out much more than others, and 100 miles in a calendar year is certainly more than I did last year. Table tennis. We were 16 with my friend and it was summer. We played each day and constantly saw improvement. I was thinking we look like martial arts masters or something. Then one day this little fat kid, not more than 12, came with an adult, either his father or his coach, asking for a 1 versus 1 game. We were barely able to return his serves. This kid obliterated our confidence in 15 minutes or so. After that day, we started slowly transitioning to footbag. Taking a dump. I thought I was really good, but then I hear the people in the stall next to me at the airport. It really blew me away. I remember playing StarCraft only with friends on LAN, thinking to myself, I'm a boss at this game. My friends can never stop me. Went online for the first time. I had absolutely no idea how to play this game. The problem I have with RTS games is that I want to play defensively, put up walls, have a huge army of siege tanks to hold off invaders, which works fine in offline mode. But yeah, anytime I try to play online I get demolished. You have to play aggressively and I just can't. Public speaking. I was good. I thought I was really good. I was proud of it. Arrogant even. Not gonna lie, I felt like I was the best speaker in my entire family. Extended family too. I went to a debate competition when I was 11 and I kicked butt. So there I was, loving my skill. And then I went into a moot court competition. And one of my seniors from university who was on my team went up and started speaking, and I crap you not, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Her flow, rhythm, everything was like wow. She was so freaking good. And so much better than me. Truly inspiring. Never gonna be like that. But I'm glad I got to witness that. It was both humbling and truly very rewarding. Excel. I thought that I was pretty good at managing data, getting Excel to do what I wanted it to do. Then I had an intern skilled in VBA bust out some science. I know nothing. Excel. Then I watched a freaking mutant user, the Charles Xavier of Excel. He started with pivot tables, which I know how to use, then VBA, and I was excited, learning. Then he put second gear and drove me through his handcrafted macros land, and I was in a freaking LSD trip. But I'm not over. He saw awe in my eyes and called Jean, her real name, which I dubbed the Phoenix, and OMF good. She opened her files of big data, SQL, Power Query. I peed in my pants. Seeing a god is a humbling experience. Used to think I was a good researcher and scientist. Got to grad school, was put in my place by my colleagues and got out of grad school, realized I was definitely better than the average human, and my perspective of life in grad school was very narrow and shallow. Life isn't a competition and you are unique with all of your own talents. You don't have to be better than someone to be good at something. Don't give yourself a hard time. Photography. Been doing on and off recreational photography for about 7 years now, since I took photo classes in high school. I took photo 1 in college, and by then I had about 4 years of experience in photography and using Photoshop and whatnot. Most of the students in my class had zero photography experience, so I felt like I was better than them and would make my photos look super pristine to show them off. People were amazed by my work and it felt good. I admittedly was pretentious with my work just to be wowed by my fellow students who barely had any experience with photography. A year later I took photo 2 with the same pretentious mindset. People still loved my photos, but then something hit me. There were these 2 students who were very chatty in class and would annoy the teacher a lot. And just by looking at them I figured they must have been lazy students who didn't put out good work in this class. I thought I'd be better than them. After I presented my work for an assignment one day, both of them presented their stuff and it turns out they were some of the best photographers I've ever seen. Both of them made amazing portraits that I couldn't imagine taking, and it turned out that these were veteran photography students who took the photo classes in college many times. They were in the photo 3 class and that class was repeatable. At that point I realized I'm not better than most people and, truthfully, I'm not as good as I thought I was. There's a lot more I could be doing to be better in photography. Watching their work definitely gave me a more humble mindset about photography and made me learn to appreciate other people's work more. Chinese yo-yo. All my friends were learning to juggle but I wasn't any good. Picked up Chinese yo-yo and took to it like a duck to water. Few people I met even knew what it was, so I always felt cool showing off. Then I made the mistake of looking up tricks online. Asian kids learn it in elementary school and 5-year-olds are doing tricks that make me look like a fool waving sticks around. Mario Kart 64. I was a god among my friends. Starting dating my now wife and she had a 64. She challenged me and her dad and younger sister joined in. I finished 4th. More than 10 years later I still cannot beat her on the 64. I thought I had the finest taste around the office. That is until I saw Paul Allen's business card. It even had a watermark. Lifting. I thought my 500 pounds deadlift PR was pretty neat a few months ago until a kid maybe a year older than me was pulling that 4 reps. Well, in all honesty, 500 pounds deadlift is pretty good. Being funny. I had a mini crisis at high school age. All I had was being funny, and while I didn't go out of my way to turn everything into a joke, I sure as heck defused a lot of ass kickings by making people laugh. Then the classes started mixing and there were 2 or 3 kids I'd start talking to that were just outright better. Faster wit, not a word wasted getting to the point, building on and returning to bits. I was sad and angry for a long time. Firmly a low end in-betweener, and the one thing I was good at they were great at. I had a couple of mates I'd hung onto for my entire life and any new pals were through them. Always with them if we hung out. These guys were loved by everyone, guys and girls, and the jealousy really got to me. I was just quiet in the end, settling on being on the upper tier of loser and pretty much lost any modest talent I had. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work, etc. A decade later I'll still feel a good joke somewhere in conversation and basically tune out trying to work it into something in my head. By the time I get something, the topic has moved on and I'm lost. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.